The biggest problem in the B2B market right now is the lack of acquisition verticals being implemented into their business. Um, Welcome, YouTube, to SaulnaDigital. This is one of my first videos on here, honestly, in a long time. My name is Craig Johnson. I'm co-owner along with Darius, who you guys see a lot more. I like to work on the back end. That's my thing. He's a front end type of guy. But I figured I'd jump in here and give a little bit more context around exactly what we do and paint a clear picture about the ecosystem that we build and we implement for ourselves and into the partners that we work with, right? So yeah, the problem that we see in this market is the lack of verticals, like I said, right? So what that means is most people and most businesses are operating and depending on only one or two acquisition sources, usually being referrals, number one, and sometimes ads. And the problem we see is lack of strong and proper systems to actually scale these acquisition sources as well as adding other verticals on there. So I do want to dive deep into kind of what we do here at Sauna and what we like to implement, right? So the problems we solve: inconsistent pipeline, limited lead sources, poor lead quality. But I really want to dive into the solution here. What exactly do we offer and implement into the business? Just as a rough overview. Obviously, there's a lot of intricacies in between all these acquisition sources that we implement. We have, middle of funnel workflows that, do most of the sales. So the sales call isn't doing the heavy lifting. We have re-nurture sequences to rebook leads that go through the funnel and don't convert. So just understand that when I'm going through this, this is just a rough overview of the front end systems, not so much the back end systems to get us started, right? So the first thing I want to dive into here is our cold call system, right? And this is a structured process for booking qualified calls. And how it works is number one, you identify the ideal client profile of who you're targeting. And we have a software that you plug in your information. It gives you the best leads based upon that information across multiple databases. And it sources those leads with their numbers, Instagram profile, email, so you can actually do outreach to them in the form of cold calls. And this works tremendously, like actually surprisingly well for our business specifically and for the businesses that we helped implement this process as well. We also have specific scripts that use and are high converting that go one into the next as far as the cold call script, and other forms of nurture sequences that go along with it to actually scale this thing, right? And then you book those qualified calls and you follow up with the people that, don't convert first time around, like I said. The results is super, it's the greatest thing about cold calls is a super predictable lead source. I make X calls, I get X booked calls on my calendar, and then that turns into X closes, right? So based upon the outputs or based upon your inputs what your outputs will be. Typically, we see around that 40 to 50 qualified booked calls a month mark off just cold calls alone, with one A player booking on average 2 calls a day. That's 14 booked calls a week, right? So you do the math on that. You're looking at around 60 booked calls a month, give or take, off just that acquisition source. We typically like to put them on 100 dials a day, right? So out of 100 dials, if they can't book 2, then you have a talent issue, which we also help you guys address, right? So, and the best part is you own it, right? So everything at Sauna is done in-house. You own the acquisition source, and it's implemented into your business. So that means it's your acquisition source. You can run it yourself. We provide you with the talent if you want to hire talent to run it for you. So we're not doing the heavy lifting and you're not doing the heavy lifting, and you can actually operate as a business owner with autonomy, right, and control of your own acquisition source. This is our whole thing at Sauna. We want you guys to be in control of your acquisition source. No more hiring, ad agencies or operators or juggling multiple clients and, hopping on different offers. Lead qualities, or not lead quality, but quality of performance is dropping. We really think that autonomy is the number one thing in the market that most people don't even realize is a bottleneck for them, right? And then I also want to dive into our LinkedIn system, right? Same thing. It's super predictable, right? It's systematic outreach and relationship building on a platform that you know has a higher lead quality than normal, right? Um, Everyone there is B2B. That's why we work B2B, and we like to work, and we like people who will work B2B as well because of this exact system. Even if you're a credit or business funding company, B2B tends to work better, right? Business funding, higher ticket clients, right? So we have the outreach frameworks in place that you can utilize that work for us and our businesses. And you can reach out to them using these high performing frameworks and actually book them on your calendar. It is a little bit less, full transparency. LinkedIn is a little bit less of a quantity, but the quality tends to be a lot higher than other acquisition sources in the market. So what you can expect with LinkedIn is between that 15 to 20 booked calls a month mark, which is super good when it's almost 100% quality of leads, right? So even at a 4% close rate or a 25% close rate, you're looking at around 5 closes a month just off LinkedIn, right? You identify your ideal client, you send the personal message based upon our frameworks, you build a relationship with them, you move them to a booked call, and you follow up consistently with them and their business and make sure they're doing it right. And it's all in-house, right? Number 3, paid ads. Obviously, I'm sure you heard of paid ads. Everyone's heard of paid ads. But the way we do it is we have frameworks that work for us, just like the other 2 acquisition sources, and you implement it into your business. And you create targeted ads, Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn. You capture the leads, you follow up with those leads, and you optimize based upon the results of these ad sources, right? And super high performant, right? 30 to 50 booked calls a month is typically what we expect from these lead sources, right? And you control the budget because everything's in-house, so it's not a set, ad spend. It's not a MRR. You're not paying a retainer to us or anybody else to actually run this acquisition source for you. You have the processes to run it yourself. And the good thing about ads is once they're set up, they're set up. You're just running new creatives when need be and addressing bottlenecks when need be, but that's the life of a business owner. And it puts you in the proper position you need to be in to actually scale your business, right? With all 3 systems, these are usually the results we see, is between that 85 to 120 qualified booked calls a month mark, all in-house inside of your own business. Autonomy is what we're striving for here, right? And your team owns it, and it's scalable and it's predictable, right? So, you do the math on that. 85 to 120 qualified booked calls a month at a industry standard 25% close rate. That's, I don't even know. It's 25%. Say it's 25, right? Just let's keep it 100. Say it's 25, 100 qualified booked calls. Say it's 25. It's 25 closes a month. What would that do for your business, guys? Right? And like I said, it's all in-house. It's all in-house. I want to show you guys Bert here. Bert is a client of ours, Bert Dorsley. When he came on board, he started at that 10K a month mark consistently. He was doing well. He has good processes. He had a good acquisition source, one acquisition source. We implemented other acquisition sources for him, these 3 that I just laid out to you. And this is my business partner, Darius, who you guys seen, and David. This is the talent that we hired on behalf of his business. And now he just passed that 6 figures a month mark, as you can see, 2 million in sales on his profile, right? So these results work. These results work, guys. So listen, if you guys want to learn exactly how we can implement these 3 systems into your business specifically and get a real roadmap about, the exact numbers you guys have, how we can implement into the ecosystem that you're building, go to the link below. And I'd love to hop on a conversation. My business partner would love to have a conversation with you and really break down where your business is at and where we're trying to go. So yeah, click the link below. Follow us on Instagram, message us on Instagram at SaulnaDigital, and we will see you at the top.